This is Constant Elevation, the show for rising Air Force and community leaders who seek to define the future. Learn powerful work and life tactics to tackle any challenge. I'm your host, Gabriel Gabrock Avila. Let's go. Welcome back, everybody. Gabrock back on the mic once again. This is the last episode of July. We've gotten to this far, and I think very, very happy for this week's episode because this has been a long time coming. I have a friend and colleague that we're going to talk about our origin story in a minute, but I want to welcome to the show Master Sergeant Ron Esposo. Ron, welcome to the show, brother.
Oh, I'm glad to be here, sir.
Oh yeah, dude, this is going to be good stuff. So Sergeant Esposo is part of our origin story. He is currently in Alaska. We were just talking about before we started recording this episode how much I miss being in Alaska. My family misses being, especially in the summertime, we miss being in Alaska. I follow him. When I see his Facebook posts, I may or may not be hella mad because he's doing these awesome Hatcher's Pass hikes and all that kind of stuff. And he's setting a good example for his airmen. But you're living it up in Alaska. How has the summer been so far?
So lately it's been nice, actually. So I don't know if you remember last year, we had the wildfire last year. But
this
time,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, the wildfire,
dude,
we had the
ruined. Yeah. We ended up ruining, well, not ruining. Well, it did ruin stuff, but like the very last portions of before I left, I totally forgot about that. Like it made it really, really crappy.
Yeah, I don't know. The year before that, we had the earthquake. Now we have, last year, the wildfire, now COVID-19.
Right.
And then we went hiking yesterday, and then now they call it the Siberian wildfire. So all the smokes are coming down to Alaska.
Oh.
It's kind of weird. So it's kind of hazy. You can't get like a lot of good pictures, but,
Wow.
But so far, it's been hot. Pretty good.
Yeah,
can't complain.
I know don't complain. You don't live in where I live in Maryland, and so I'm very, very envious of you. So I'm very happy for you and the family. You guys are staying safe in Alaska. So obviously, part of our origin story for you and I is that we worked together as 673rd Comm Squadron, and we had a lot of. You weren't there when I first got there. I remember when you first joined ExecComm. That's where we first started to work together, right? I want to say.
That's correct. Yep,
yeah,
that's correct.
And so. Over that tenure, we got a lot of work done. All kinds of you successfully led the ExecComm team and started branching out into more stuff. We made the C.Y.B.E.R Connect app. That's where you got that. We're not going to go into it. You may or may not have a call sign Despacito. That also happened. But you and I, the Alaska team thing, and I really hope that you and I get to work together again. The Air Force is a small place. But there may be some side notes and some of our records that like I don't really know if Avila and Esposo could work together because they were too damn good. They saw us having too much fun. Like we worked hard, but like honestly, think all the stuff that we were doing together, we just liked doing because we were passionate about it.
Yep. Then I think we just kind of like both of us are kind of like task oriented. Like we just want to get shit done. So
yeah.
That's how we are.
Yeah, so. It was good. It was definitely a like-minded individuals. It made it easy for you and I to work together. And then after I left Alaska, I moved here to Maryland, and then you and I, you had these sparklings like, hey, sir, so I think I want to start this Filipino American Airmen group thing. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, why do you want to do that? And then we had a conversation. I was like, bro, just send it. It's fine. I actually think you have a very strong case for how this group can happen. Fast forward right now, over 4,500 members. You're one of the OGs. I'm one of the OG members early. You're the admin. I'm just kind of there as far as the handsome field grade officer to add some context to the whole thing. But yeah, so tell me how have you felt so far, how the Facebook group has been gone so far?
So the group, like just reading at the comments of like new members, feeling, have a breath of fresh air, like looking, because you don't want to be in a member or in a group where it's always the same group and there's always like either crap talking or whatever it is, or being a Karen or whatever you call it.
Sure.
But with our group, it's kind of like it's meant for like mentorship, like especially like when we're PCSing out, like how detrimental when you're like going to a new place, like you don't know what's going on, and then now you see another Filipino guy who you you see something in common with, and then you're like, oh, okay, you gonna
Oh
hook
yeah.
me up, or where's the food, where's the
Yeah.
what's the click, you know what I mean?
Where
So
am I gonna buy? Where do I put my lumpia order? I got to know all
yeah.
these very life significant things I got to do. So
Yeah, it's like life 101, like Filipino life 101. Where's the restaurant, when is the next get together,
hmm
all
hmm
those kind of things. So
yeah, but
yeah.
it's been so we were when we were initially talking about it. You were very. I was giving you some advice as far as being very particular about like don't make this be one of like the dark corners of the internet where just people are talking shit the entire time. And I really think you guys took it to the high road as far as being a kind of dual place, right? So it's for mentorship, right? It's
Yep.
Filipino American airmen, so the airman piece finding out like depending on for the officer as and the officers and the enlisted the they depending on what we're talking about, you have a easy audience of over 4,000 people. Just
Yeah.
send a question, be like, hey, so I'm moving first time, I just commissioned as a second lieutenant, or I'm moving to Korea as a young NCO. What do I need to do? And there will be some person in there more than likely that experienced that. And that welcoming kind of piece is what we wanted to make sure, what I advise anyway. And I think you guys have cultivated it right, as far as that's the kind of place that we want this group to be. And on the other hand, it's a whole thing of just celebrating exactly who we are as Filipinos. I mean, like
That's right.
there is all of the memes and the culture-ish kind of things, like those things are very, very strong
Yeah.
amongst our community. And that just adds like a little bit more connectiveness. Depending on, you could be, even if you're going to some place and then you'll be like, oh, there's like at least 6 Filipinos here and they got like a thing going
Yeah.
on. It's like, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Like, you know, just to, I think I still owe everyone a background of what happened or how I started this. So back in like 2018, this thing's gonna be probably like a little bit longer, but
It's all good.
back in 2018, I met a guy. Shout out to Mass Sergeant Alvin Suarez. So he works at FSS, and I met him during the first sergeant symposium. And then
Okay.
how I was the acting shirt,
Yep. Yep.
during that time. And then late last year, I got invited to their party, and then typical Filipino party get together. Tons of food, booze,
Sure.
karaoke is everywhere, and then a little bit of gambling, poker, like that. So
that sounds like all of the normal ingredients to our shit.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So we're just hanging out, and then in between conversations, and then I just realized, I was like, well, the mentorship was happening. We were like
Oh
piggybacking
yeah.
ideas, mentoring about each other's finance, work related issues. What was the previous base? Where are you going to next? And then we talked about professional and personal development too. And especially we have like younger staff sergeants,
Yeah.
so we're like developing them too. We're like, oh crap, so
Yep.
this is kind of good. So we have people from CE, FSS, COM, you name it. It was a great feeling. I had some food, booze, and
Yeah.
then sometimes
Natural
I win
environment.
poker. Yeah, winning. I won a couple of times, but it's really hard
Oh,
to win
oh,
poker.
light flex. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And so overall, I was glad about the bonding and the mentorship. Fast forward like in this early this year, February, during winter, right? We just moved to the new building because we reside in building 60-30, but we went to the lodging area.
Oh, okay.
So it's a new building, and then our heating broke. So I have like 30 airmen there, freezing their butt off,
Mm-hmm.
and it's in the middle of February. And I just put on Mass Sergeant 1st of February, and I was like, oh snap. Crap. I gotta take lead. I gotta take care of my people. They're
Right.
complaining about the heat.
Conditions. Right.
So I told them first, well, you gotta remove all your clothes and start hugging each other because body heat is a way to go.
You
No, I
actually.
was just messing. No, I didn't
I
say
was
it. I
like,
didn't say it.
hold up.
I was messing.
That's hilarious.
But
That actually sounds like some shit I would say. Like, hey, you guys are complaining? Drop drawers. That's what we need to do. Get butt at no, don't get butt naked.
yeah.
But like, that sounds like some dumbass shit I would say, and then be like, just kidding, Jesus. Don't call EO. Sorry.
I know, right? But anyway, I met a guy from that party. Shout out to Tech Sergeant Francis Pasqua. So he works at CE. He works at HVAC. So a lot of people, like most commanders, I'm not bashing you, but a lot of commanders would like do things for their other commanders, like a hookup, like, hey, this is a priority now for you, whatever.
Sure.
So I did text him, like, hey, and also, by the way, he was on leave. So I texted him, hey, bro, hook me up. 10 minutes later, like, HVAC technician was there and he
That's
helped
it.
us out. I was
That's
like,
what's
oh
up.
my God. Dude, I was like, all right, so crisis averted and my guys are happy. And from time to time they would like contact me too and ask me for like comm stuff, of course.
Of
So I
course.
do
Of
help
course.
them out. And then later that month, I was like just chilling on my couch. I was like, watching The Office, sipping my 14-year-old Balvenie whiskey, just
Okay.
hanging out,
Okay.
just chilling.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, right? So then I realized those moments, with my Filipino friends throughout my 13 years in my military career, how we kind of like helped out each other over time, again and again.
That's awesome.
And then what they call it, like the bayanihan concept. So bayanihan is like it's a Filipino word. It's derived from like the word bayan, right, meaning town.
Mm-hmm.
So town or nation or community in general. So bayanihan literally means being a bayan. It is used to refer to like a spirit of communal unity and cooperation. And back in the day, like if a house, if family wants to move to another town, like a bunch of people will actually lift the house and move to another place or another town. That's what they do.
Okay.
So that's bayanihan. And then what's really good with our Filipino community is that we have this innate respect to one another. And like I mentioned earlier when we were talking before, like we're in a high context culture where
Mm-hmm.
when you meet another Filipino, you feel like connected right away, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you already have the same food, you like the same food, raised with the same values. You
The
like to
same
take,
mom smacking you with things
yeah,
like, yeah, you better cook the damn rice and like all those things that all of us
yeah, with the
suffer through.
finger,
Yeah,
everything like
everybody
that.
knows the finger.
There's a finger, yeah, and then you like everybody likes to take pictures, enjoying singing karaoke. They
Yeah.
love cars, the Rice Rockets, watching every time there's a Manny Pacquiao fight, in the Philippines,
Oh,
the
everybody's
street is gone,
yes.
everybody's
Nobody.
watching it.
The
It's our
entire
Filipino pride.
yeah. There is. It's funny. Like when I was my dad when he was he used to be like um he used to work on the Las Vegas Strip as like a security guard, like supervisor, whatever it is, right? And so like when it was the Filipinos fighting the versus the Mexican boxers, bruh. Oh my
Oh
God.
yeah,
And it
it's
was like
done.
everybody was like, oh, everybody's, 4'8" Filipinos, big body, like, what's up? Like, bruh, calm down. But like
Yeah,
that
calm down.
pride, the pride of where we come from, I think is always going to be strong. And so like
Yeah,
the idea where you are creating through the Facebook group, you created some opportunities that kind of evolved from your own personal kind of interactions with people and
yeah,
understanding that like there is, we have technology that can kind of evolve that. And that's where I think the Facebook group itself kind of it doesn't make, I'll be upfront, it does not make up for the personal one-on-one stuff. Nothing can.
yeah. Oh yeah.
But like it offers like that bridge, that starting point to be like,
It
no,
does.
so as soon as you land to whatever base you're going to or whatever it is, like you're going to have a community that looks like you, that talks like you,
Yep.
that eats like you. And so like even the benefits of the Air Force and taking it all around the world, you still have some sort of home. There's a familiar thing going on, and you don't have to, you walk in, you're just gonna smell it, you're like, oh yes, I'm home. There's certain
Yeah.
things that happen, and it's as much as we're trying to make it a strong thing, and it's getting stronger, as we go along with the
Yep.
Facebook group. I really credit you with all of your experiences, just kind of understanding that like this is something that was needed out there, and
Yes, sir.
very very proud that you've hosted a couple leadership mentors thing. You've had some general officers, you've had some chiefs, you've had some former squadron commanders. This guy. And so
Yeah.
and so the idea of where you've had successful Filipinos come up and we're like, no, man, we made it. Like we're here. We're good, a community that could be proud of what we've accomplished, and we're going to continue to pay it forward. So I really want to publicly thank you for, when you and I are initially talking about it, I honestly did not believe it was going to blow up like this, but
Yeah.
it is a very, very strong presence, and I hope it continues to be that and makes it, as much as everybody wants it to be and contribute to it. It's going to be, I'm always going to think back to our early conversations of you were courageous enough to be like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I'm like, yeah, go and let's see. I'll be here. I'll support the whole thing, and it's been an awesome ride so far.
Yeah, I mean, I just that connection is like it's when I thought about it, I was like, what's the best way to improve that connection with these people, right? Because I met a lot of people, especially I play a lot of basketball, and
Mm-hmm.
that's how I start my things with Filipinos, and they love basketball, right? So, and I thought about it. I was like, what's the best way to improve it? And then, just that's why I created the Filipino American group. Actually, in the beginning, I put Filipino Airmen, and then I got a lot of feedback saying like, hey, you might get communication with the Filipino Airmen in the Philippines. So I did add the Filipino American Airmen
Mm-hmm.
group. So
But you learned. It's fine. Whatever.
yeah, I actually I remember getting help from my brother too. I was like, well, he served in the Navy as a corpsman for like 5 years,
Okay.
and then of course you, sir, helping me proofread the mission and vision statement. I was like, we gotta have this mission and vision, so we have like like you said, like I told you, I'm very gold. I want to be structured and
Yep.
everything
Yep.
else. So, and also you help my English, fixing my English, because my English was like my grammar
It
was
was
all.
fine. No, it was mainly like it was really shaping the, because you had, this is like kind of behind the curtains kind of stuff.
Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
had very grandiose ideas, which is not bad. But the idea is you got to make it to a succinct kind of thing that people can
Yeah.
kind of gravitate towards. And that's where, as soon as we got those little fine tuning done, we're off. Like, it's like, yep, let's go, send
Yeah.
it. Let's see what happens. And
Yeah.
then like,
I know, right? But yeah, so speaking of which, like, during the initial phase, when I started adding when I started the group, I started adding the people I knew from J.B.E.R.
Mhm.
And then some military friends from tech school with my Facebook friends.
Everybody
And
is.
then,
Everybody was
yeah.
tagging any Filipino you knew. I was same thing.
Yeah.
Like, God, hold on, let me invite all these people. So,
Yeah, it was like, for me, it was like about 30 members, give or take. And then, days, weeks after, we were in the thousands. I was like, oh my God.
Oh,
And then we
yeah?
finally about, 4,500 strong for, after 5 months, which is, to this date. And then, next thing I was like, what's cool about this? We need to be more proudful. So I was like, let's make a patch, because I remember you giving me a patch with Despacito. I was like, all right, let's do something kind of
Yeah,
similar.
let's
So
do
I was like,
it.
all right. And then I produced my design, and then of course he got shit on, with people. But we did,
I get it. Whatever. It's
yeah,
fine.
I get it, yeah. But a lot of people are like actually kind of like interested of what's going on with the group. So I want to shout out to like Dre Malihan. He's a staff sergeant here in Alaska, and A1C in Herbert Field right now. A1C Francis Dacpano. So
Mhm.
those two kind of collaborated with. So Francis was like really like artsy,
Okay.
and then Dre was like doing all the Adobe Photoshop. So
Sure. Sure.
they collaborated, and then now we have like freaking merch,
Yeah.
hoodies,
People
patches, the ones,
flexing on people, be like, oh, what is that?
yeah,
Like, it's not for you.
right? And then now the next thing we have was like the tumblers, like it's just kind of like nice to have those merch, take pride of who
To
you are,
celebrate.
and then
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
you
awesome.
know.
I think there is art piece is another I want to look at I don't want to go to my Facebook thing, but I really want to look it up because I want to give her
Yeah,
shout
but
outs.
you know, you see the patch though. There's the spear on the side, like you know,
Right.
that's like our tribal stuff. You
Of
know,
course, of
like
course.
yeah,
There's meaning. Like there's all the meanings behind the graphics, and that's why I know you were joking around when sort of joking around. When people were saying people were shitting on your designs because people are very particular about like
yeah,
culture. Like, what are we going to represent? Like, how do we want to represent this to be like? And you got to find that fine balance as far as like what is going to be too like cheesy versus like something that's actually like representative of us. And I think that's
yeah,
the kind of stuff that you want to be um cognizant of, because you want to make sure you giving off a that was always the thing that you and I talked about as far as making sure that we're going to be professional above everything else.
yes,
We can be.
yep,
There's nothing wrong with. I consider myself a professional airman, but I don't take myself too seriously. If you know me, I'm
yeah,
very jokey about something, and I talk shit and do all that kind of stuff. But like, I'm very cognizant of the image that I'm and symbology I want to present. And so, but if you're proud, that's a positive thing. We want to make sure that the people are and you're combining those powers to make sure that something that is very strong representative, very similar to, this is where I had to embarrassingly look up, but like Airman Cisnado. Airman Cisnado, when she
oh yeah,
created like the freaking the emblem and everything for 673rd Comm Squadron, like that was a proud moment for me. Like you had someone who was passionate about her artistic kind of things and want to bring that forward to be like, yeah, this is actually representative of our squadron. And I'm like, bet money, put that mural fucking right there in the goddamn
I know,
heritage room.
right?
It's
It's
amazing.
still there. It's
It
still
is. Of
there.
course it is. Of
Yeah,
course it is. It better be freaking there. And so, but yeah, the idea of making sure how how to continue to um be true to yourself, be true to your culture, be true to your heritage,
yeah.
and then being inspirational. And so this is going to, I don't know how long we've been recording, but this is going to be the transition of where I wanted to talk to you about, and now we're going to get here. So
Okay, all
that's
right,
where
sounds
I'm
good.
not mad about, like, I really think your expanded origin story is way better than anything I had imagined. So I'm glad that
All
we
right,
covered
sounds
all
good.
that. So what we want to talk about, our original topic was that staying true to yourself. And so one of the things that you and I have talked about before, we actually worked on, I think under certain different circumstances, we've had separate conversations as far as always staying true to yourself as a leader. And I really believe you carry yourself and have inspired the people under your watch to be to follow you. And hopefully I've done the same for me, but like, it's always going to be rooted in staying true to yourself. So in my upcoming, or actually in episode 7 of Constant Elevation, I reviewed my personal leadership philosophy. It's called Alphabet Aerobics. I'm not going to go over it here in this episode because it's not what this episode's about. Go back to episode 7, read it or listen to it again. But in my upcoming book, which Sergeant Esposo has graciously provided some book praises, and you'll see his name in there, and it's going to be some good stuff. He got to read an advanced copy of the book, and he really gravitated towards one specific sentence, and it said, creating I wrote that creating your own leadership philosophy should be a continuous process that evolves based on your personal experience and your individual ideas. So basically, no leadership philosophy should be the same, right? And so just like I'm a different leader compared to Sergeant Esposo, our leadership philosophy should in fact should be different. There could be some similarities, but the flavor of itself really should be based on where the individual themselves. And so you came up with and we talked, I gave some advice as far as like trying to make it catchy. Nobody wants to read a 7-page dossier of fucking bullshit leadership stuff. Like, nobody got time for that. Make it quick, make it catchy. And I read yours, and we're going to talk about it in this episode. Your leadership philosophy is the acronym C.Y.B.E.R, C.Y.B.E.R. Pretty straightforward. And so we're going to talk about each component. I want to hear your personal thoughts and as we far go along. So C.Y.B.E.R, first one, C, completing the mission. Tell me about what that means to you.
So I know with a lot of leadership concept, right? They talk about people first, mission always. But you know, when you go to work, you know, it's like, what are you there for? What's your purpose? Which is completing the mission. I
Yep.
know, you know, people will always be there, and so I just want to make sure that, like I said, I'm very task oriented. If people are giving me hot fires, left and right or last minute, I just want to complete the mission.
Sure.
Whatever you need, complete the mission. So,
I think
with my current umbrella right now, having like, almost 50 people, um, with this cyber, I actually
mhm.
kind of like narrowed down to this acronym. So
Oh, it's good. So complete. So a mission, right? So a mission is not necessarily your individual task. A mission is the team task. It is assigned to you
that's
as,
correct.
and that goes along the lines of very similar to the realm of service before self. I mean, like it's a thing of there's something bigger than you. You need to do your job. Doing your job is going to be very, very important to not only to yourself, but the second and third order effects that it has at everybody else. And so, like, not that anybody is going to be surprised by this. The cyber mission that we're responsible for is very dependent on damn near everything we do in the Air Force. And so you completing your mission as far as leading the cyber services section is extremely important. And I think that's the quickest way to say, like, you better be doing your job, complete the mission.
Yep.
That's what it's going to be. And it's you don't have to make it any deeper than that. You just need to understand that, like, you are a part of a bigger idea and your responsibility is heavy. So do your job and complete your mission. I really, really like that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Cool.
Then
So
I guess then, yeah, go ahead, sir.
the next one, you are accountable. Why? You are accountable.
Well, in tactical level, right? So a lot of people are like, if they mess up, they like to point fingers. It's like, when I tell them you're accountable, like, if you make a mistake, especially like, if it's not illegal or criminal,
Sure, sure.
if you make a mistake, just own it, and then we'll grow together. We'll find a way to fix it and then improve on it, rather than, like, I don't know, either I didn't, my alarm was off, those kind of things. Like, dude, just it comes on the next, which is be professional and transparent, because
Mm-hmm.
you know just try to be professional. You're in a bigger scheme right now. Like, just be honest with me. I'd rather you being honest with me rather than lying to me. It comes
Yes.
with the same as a kid. I mean, as a father too, with my kids, they like to point fingers. Oh, it's my sister's fault or my brother's fault. No, bro,
It's you. No, it's you.
just you.
It's you.
You know
It's you.
that. You got caught. I know the
Yes.
answer already. So
I think that is a good reflection of um, cognizant of the current times. And so, and I'm not going to get into generational debates because I don't think that's fair. But I think the idea, it's a singular, because the idea of accountability goes across every single generation. I don't care how old you are, how young you are. Accountability is huge, because the moment when people start to try and deflect and try and find excuses, like, well, because I didn't wake up or blah blah blah, like, no, it's you created some things. And a lot of people get very, very nervous where they're confronted with their own I want to call it weaknesses, because that's too strong of a word, but like just mistakes, right? There's
yep,
certain things, depending on, and we're not talking like the extreme, like tip of the spear where lives are at danger.
yep,
For the most part, what we're talking about is general life management things. Is like, hey,
yep,
so you're accountable for waking up on time. You're accountable for staying in shape. You're accountable for training. You're accountable for making sure that if you're an NCO and a supervisor, that you perform all the responsibilities that are associated with that role. That's what you're supposed to be doing. So be accountable to that. And I think by placing being upfront in your leadership responsibility, like, you are accountable, I think that's a very, very strong way to be. Like, people are like, oh shit, okay, okay, sorry, Esposo, damn,
yeah.
all right, I'm gonna have to. but that's what people need. I think people, the way that you're going to be challenging people, but like, no, you are accountable. The right people are going to respond. They're going to be like, all right, bet I am accountable and I'm going to do my job. You're not asking for perfection. You're asking for the effort, the best effort that they have at their certain capacity to try and do what they believe is right.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's right, sir.
that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to B. Be professional and transparent. Tell me about that.
So, be professional. So we're always, I've been in comm for like 13 years, and we're always in the customer environment,
Yeah,
So,
mission support.
we
So,
have yeah, so we have a lot of airmen that are currently, they forget what they learned from basic training or tech school. So, or some of them are like coming in. I'm not bashing on the older folks, but who's coming in. But at the same time, you know, um, there's a respect to, like we talked about earlier about respecting others, and then sometimes they don't know how to talk to people.
okay,
So basically, not being they're being unprofessional with how the conversation is. There's always a tactful way to tell things to other people, like, hey, um, we don't have any technician right now, but if I could take your number or your whatever,
right.
something like that. But they don't. Or if you don't have the support right now, be transparent. Just say, hey, we don't have that right now, but I can take down your name or something like that. Just be professional, because even off base, like, it's the same thing. Like, I know with the politics right now, with a lot of people are in uniform, and just being in a protest or whatever it
Mm-hmm,
is, like,
mm-hmm.
bro, don't do that stuff,
Don't do that. Yeah, that's
yeah,
not a good
right.
fit. How about we don't
Yeah,
do
I
that?
know, right? You're representing an organization,
Yeah.
and while you're in uniform, that's not good. So
No, I think I really think that professionalism and transparency. Some people actually wouldn't combine those two, and I really like the way that you're combining them because combining them both makes you an honest human being. So professional, in my perspective, professional is really going to be a culmination of your experiences, right? So me as a professional lieutenant is only up to that good. Me as a professional lieutenant colonel, I have a bunch of experience behind me now. So like I understand the other things that how the Air Force works, how the joint environment works, how my functional community works. And so like I'm just more tenured in my ideas of how to conduct myself and how the real business works. However, we work in a hierarchical kind of chain. So I don't think it's not a thing of the idea of not respecting customs courtesies. That's a given. So I'm not
yeah,
talking about that. But the idea of professional, of like knowing what your capacity is and then immediately going to the transparent stuff. Because if you're started talking out of your ass, you understand to be like, hey, so yeah, this is beyond me. I need to go talk to my boss. I need to,
yeah,
like, for me right now, and JF, you should do it. I need to go talk to my smart guys because you're talking about some cyber nerdery stuff and you're beyond me. And I'm professional. This is the thing. I'm professional. I'm humble enough to understand that, like, I'm going to start saying words that are completely out of my ass, and it's going to get me in trouble and my team in trouble, and potentially lead us in a wrong direction. And
yeah,
so a lot of people, it's an ego thing. It's a lack of humility to be like, you have to put on this big body, be like, no, I'm totally right and infallible. Like, no, you don't know. And between the officer corps and the enlisted corps, I've seen examples where like people start, you hear the tap dancing, you're like, oh, this motherfucker is tap dancing and shit, because you
yeah,
don't know what you're talking about. Just say, sir, bam, I'll get back to you. That's all you got to
yeah,
do. It's a, I think people are afraid of doing that. I don't know why. You and I are not afraid of that. Like there's
yeah,
a part, I can clearly see, I've seen you do it, seen me do it. Hopefully you see me do it as well. You're going to ask me stuff. As much as I can answer that question, I'll talk about it. The moment it starts getting into unfamiliar territory, I'd be like, time out. I don't know.
yep,
I need to phone a friend. I need to go call somebody.
yeah,
And there is nothing wrong with that. I've never seen in the right situations where those kind of things, part of that is, that's not I'll add a caveat. That's not that's not an excuse for you doing your job and working really, really hard. Work hard. If you're a lieutenant, I expect you to be a lieutenant or a master sergeant, whatever rank you are. I expect you to have that level of experience. if you don't, you better catch the fuck up. Like that's because
Yeah.
I'm expecting up to that point. Going past that, I'm okay with you phoning a friend or whatever it is, but that's due diligence, right? And so the idea, I really think your combination of being professional, transparent is the perfect brown sugar to the cinnamon. Hey, yeah, Pop
Yeah.
Tarts, motherfucker.
Yeah, yeah, because a lot of people are always flexing about what they know, but you just don't want them to like say the wrong things, and then next thing their ego, like, bro, like it's okay, just be humble, man. It's okay, just be a good person, just be humble. It's
Yeah,
okay, you
yes,
know.
but they
If you
don't.
don't know anything, it's okay.
It's hard. It's hard for people to admit their. It's not even a weakness. It's just a shortcoming that you just maybe or not be prepared for. But it's definitely a positive thing that people need to understand. It's okay. That's the bottom line. So E, effective training. Tell me about that.
So, I remember you probably love this every Thursday. It's the staff meeting slide. So, you know,
That's my
oh
favorite.
my God. Yeah. So, when you're a section chief and you see some of your airmen are on the board, like, the spotlight's on you. It's like, come on, bro.
Oh, you didn't do the
This like,
volumes. You're still behind 2 volumes.
I
Come
know.
on.
You're like 15 months behind. Like, this is like simple stuff, bro. So, effective training is so for me, like, you can talk to me and teach me the things, verbally, and I'm not gonna learn that crap. You gotta show it to me. People learn different things.
Sure,
So,
sure.
and as you go back, you're accountable for the NCOs. Like, sometimes they assume that the airmen are like, oh, they're doing great, so they're passing their UREs, or
Mm-hmm.
fine, they can test. But no, you gotta make sure, like, make sure their training is good. You're making sure their TBA is done, or after is done. It's just the follow through is the main thing.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
yeah,
No, I think effective training. So there's definitely like the measurable Air Force version of that, but I think the overarching kind of theme that you're trying to is like there's a going back to accountability. Like as you progress through your Air Force career, we're expecting you to be able to perform certain things. And
yep,
part of that performance is we're going to train you how to do that. But if you are slacking off, if you are being, you're, and it's very clear when you and I see those in those staff meetings, when we used to see them anyway, you see like airmen got here at the same time. This gal is done in like 8 months. This dude
yep,
has not started in 13 months. Like what the fuck just happened? Like,
yep,
and it's um that's a reflection of the supervisors actually
yep,
giving a shit and being sure you're staying on top of your personnel and be like, what do you need? Is it like to your earlier point, like, are you more of a visual learner? Can you just,
yep,
do you need someone to work with you before? Okay, cool. That's one thing we can do at work. Are you more of a learner that you can do it off duty and you're fine because you'd rather learn by yourself? Cool. That's also whatever the technique happens to be, making sure that you have a good understanding of that and moving that airman forward in there. So I think there is no, I'm not a firm believer of there's only one method to train every single airman in the
yeah,
Air Force. You have to understand the context of where we grew up, cultural differences. I
yeah,
mean, like maybe if English is not your first language, it'd be like, hey, so
yep,
we got to go help other people and find you're a Filipino. Let's go find a Filipino Facebook group and get another mentor who can figure out these things. Those are the kind of things that help you develop an effective training and an effective training plan to make sure. I'm glad that you put out in your philosophy that it feeds into the idea of I need you to do your job, but I also need to make sure that you are getting the right training resources to be that person that we need you to that person on the team who can play. Like if you're going to be a point guard, I expect you to know all the freaking passes. I expect all the game, all the plays, all those
yep,
kind of things. That's all training. You're going to learn how to
yeah.
be a good point guard. That's what I need you to be.
I mean, you can tell too, like when what do they say? Like, if you want to do something, you'll find a way. But if you don't want to do something, you'll find excuses, right? Or sometimes,
Oh,
don't bullshit a bullshitter. Don't
I am
bullshit
so
a bullshitter. Come on,
I'm
man.
I'm telling that to Benjamin. I might write that like on his forehead soon as he wakes up, he sees that thing. So
Yeah.
so finally, last one under your leadership philosophy of cyber, C.Y.B.E.R. is R is raise good airmen. Tell me about that.
So raise good airmen is more like the comes where the interpersonal skills comes in. So, people goes through with with different backgrounds, different life, upbringing, and you don't know what they're going through. Being an acting first sergeant while you were the command, and I learned not to jump into conclusion right away, and seeing like where they're from is really, if even if they have a broken family, or where they grew up, or what kind of region where they grew up, it kind of tells you the difference, their upbringing. So raising good airmen is more like, you want to adapt to your people, like just basically taking care of them, but at the same time, you know their culture, right?
Yeah.
um it's not just like, okay, everyone's Filipino and then that's it. I grew up a certain way and then that's it. No, it's
Everybody's
not
gonna know
like
how to
that.
cook rice, dude. What if?
Right. um Funny story, because me and my wife were dating back then, and then I go to her house, and then I was like, babe, why don't you have a rice cooker? But she does have a toaster. But when he goes to my house, or my flat in the UK, where's your toaster? And I have a rice cooker. So it's still different, a different world. So,
Sure, sure.
you know,
That's I think I like the idea of, so good airman ends up becoming like it's a understanding all of our cultural differences, where we all grow up, the diversity that the airmen, that the Air Force have because of our airmen, I think is one of our strongest points, and I firmly believe that there's certain things that, like, when you approach a problem, I like having multiple angles to look at that problem. I don't want to have like two, because I'm just going to be stuck and be frustrated. I want to have as many different perspectives as possible. One of the key things, and I really like this idea of this, not that it's sequential in order, but like the first four we talked about are very like internal, as far as how
yep,
you as a leader, you need to be thinking about that. But this last one, raise good airmen, this is completely, you're flipping the script. You're talking about like, you expect good leadership, good leaders to pay it forward, to think external to them, because it says raise good airmen. That has nothing to do with you individually being successful, earning rank, getting a promotion, or an award or something like that. That's none of that shit in this context anyway doesn't matter anymore. The idea is, it's raising good airmen. It's moving your teammates up. It's thinking about something external to you. And I'm very, very proud that you're putting that in there, because I think that's the right way you need to think about stuff. The idea
yep,
of making sure it's not about you, because the other stuff is going to figure itself out, but it's not, in the bigger picture, it's not about you. And I think the real leaders and the real good teammates that other people understand is like, they're not in it for the game for themselves. They're in the bigger picture. They're trying to raise the move their brother and sisters up, and like, they're the ones, especially like, I've been around a bunch of people who are way smarter and way better than my job than me. And my job was to put them up, as far as, this is the kind of people that I want to advance. They're the leaders in the Air Force, and it's not about me, it's about them. And I really
yep.
think that's a good final, not final statement, but like ending portion of your leadership philosophy of cyber, to raise good airmen.
Yes, sir. And of course, I want to thank you, because I got the idea from you, from your book. So for you out there, all the audience, watch out for his book.
Unpaid. I didn't
It
tell him
was
to say
really
that.
good.
You
Yeah,
whatever, do
it's
whatever you want.
really. I'm gonna say it's really great. That's all I'm gonna say. It's great. So
Yeah, but it's the idea of, I sh- as I wrote my book, and then I'm kind of understanding my uncle's status in the Air Force. It's not about me anymore.
yep,
Wherever Lieutenant Colonel Villa goes is going to be, it is what it is. To be honest, I'm focusing a little bit more on my family and trying to understand where they're going to be at in this world, because that's very, very important to me. I got two teenagers, and a wife that I dearly love. And when I hang up the uniform, they're gonna be there, and I have to I want to manage that correctly, and I want to make sure I'm the right choices that balances the needs of my nation and the needs of my family. But I'm finding the right people at the right point in time in my career that are Sergeant Esposo is one of these kind of people where like we are very dedicated to be like, this is where we want to leave. We want to leave the Air Force better than it was. We want to make sure we're leaving our positive impact to be like, hey, so this is what we think is going to the right kind of leaders that when we hang up the uniform, they're going to continue to talk about the positive things, as far as completing the mission, you are accountable, be professional, transparent, effective training, and raise good airmen. Those are all great tenets that are unique to Sergeant Esposo. And if you are lucky enough to work with him, you're going to get the positive effects of that. And so because he remixed his own leadership philosophy because it's very true to him, and it's very it's natural. It's not like this curated thing of like, no, I use buzzwords and throw on this bullshit of like I word and R word and certain things I don't want to talk about. But like the idea of it's genuinely his thoughts because he gives a shit. And that's the kind of people, Ron, you're the kind of leader that I want to be around. I'm really hope that the idea somehow the Air Force, it's not going to, because they're going to prevent it. So somebody wants to hold us down. We can't have, maybe there may or may not be, I have no idea. What if there was a quote of like, we can't have too many Filipinos because it's just going to turn into a karaoke squadron or whatever the fuck. Like, but what would happen also, we get all the fucking work done. I tell you that shit. We would get all the work done. We are hardworking people. We'd have a good time. Everybody would be jealous because we'd have all the bomb ass food. Would we pass all the PT tests? I don't really know. That's the point. So
that's a struggle. Oh my God.
But no, dude, I think your leadership philosophy is on point, and I'm very thankful for you to joining us on this episode to share your thoughts on here. Like anything else, though, it's constant elevation. I expect you. Here's my charge. I expect you to continue to look at that and figure out exactly what does that mean to you, and really come down to your personal philosophies as far as how you expect to lead your airmen. You're going to continue to get more and more responsibilities, and I know you're going to kick ass at it. You're going to just learn from all your experiences, and I'm thankful to be part of that journey. So when you make Chief Esposo and I could be somewhere and be like, holy fuck, I know that guy, whatever it is, that's cool. But I would like to offer you some final thoughts as far as whatever you want to talk about.
Yes, sir. I just want to, I think, like I said, I just want to finish with the group, the Filipino American Airmen group. And with this group, I know I'm not the only Filipinos who's away and missing their family, who want some like type of connectedness, So, and also I'm not the only one who have like questions about the military with every aspect of it. So especially with the airmen who just got into the Air Force, or thinking about joining. We have a lot of members that are like trying to join. They're not even in the Air Force yet, but they're asking a lot of questions, right?
Sure.
So so most of us Filipinos are hard workers, no doubt about it. But we will work hard, hardly complain. But if you complain, you get hit with what, slipas or chinelas,
Chocolates,
so,
all that.
Yeah. So that's been ingrained with us growing up in a Filipino household to not complain. And then whenever we complain, it's like, when the parents are not looking, but whatever. So so oftentimes, I just want to target like some of our Filipino friends and airmen out there, because some of us we're like afraid to ask questions because it's been ingrained with us, and we kind of stay in the shadows. So not to mention the language barrier.
Sure.
Sometimes I have so much to say at times, but it's really hard for me to like articulate it. But that's why I married a British lady, so I can improve my English. But anyway, I was just kidding. But anyway, with our group, my idea is to have a safe environment, right? And then just to help many Filipino American airmen to overcome those barriers, get important information, about PCS sponsorship, mentorship for free. By the way, did I mention, Filipinos love discounts and free stuff, right? So, so I just don't want to be.
uh,
Man, I just don't want the group to be end up like just one of those annoying groups. So
sure.
myself, I just want to make myself and the moderators. We try to like to keep the group to be professional.
No, you
So
are.
with continuous and monthly mentorship sessions. So like I said earlier, sir, I just want to thank you. Being one of our mentor. Retired Chief Navarro, Brigadier General Conlas. Hitting me up. Like I was like, oh my God, General's hitting me up.
Yeah.
We're in a
Yeah.
big deal right now.
He was also on my show.
I
Just saying.
right, I know. And then it was a perfect timing too because with COVID happened, the FAA group was a great avenue for like information, PCS and sponsorship and whatever.
Yeah.
So, but the next big thing for me is like for the group is to have like a main distributor for all the merchandise, and so that whenever we earn profits, and it could go to like towards local charities or even going back to the Philippines.
Yeah.
Especially, we
Hell
have a
yeah.
lot of tragedies, like typhoons, monsoon days or
Sure. Sure.
whatever.
Sure. Sure.
So uh, I'm not gonna keep the money. I don't mind. I'm not
Dude,
trying to be rich. I just want
that's
to
a
hike.
that's a I want to hike with you, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
Do I actually think that's a badass idea? I actually think, not that I'm going to hold you publicly accountable, I will now, but like the idea of a certain portion of profits goes towards back home to the Philippines. That's a beautiful thing. Like, why wouldn't we
Yeah.
do that? And I think everybody would be on board with that. I think the PhilAm American Airmen Group is going to continue to be a strong presence within the Air Force. I think you are going to be a strong presence in the Air Force, not only because your leadership philosophy, but just how you conduct yourself as a leader. I'm very, very honored and proud to have the part of my career to be served in my story to say that, like, no, I served at Esposo, motherfuckers. That's what's happened.
Sure.
And
Right.
so we had some good times, and I hope I look forward to some future good times that we get to share. The Air Force is going to implode. I swear to God. If all of a sudden, just imagine, I'm a commander, you're my superintendent. Get out of here.
Oh,
Like, oh my
yes,
God,
sir.
the most handsome goddamn command team ever. But that's beside the point. So, well, Sergeant Sposo, I really appreciate you taking the time. I think your insight that you provided to how the PhilAm group kind of created, and then your own personal philosophies, I think it's powerful, and you are going to continue to constantly evolve. Plug is going to be constant elevation of the whole thing is worthwhile, and I'm very, very, like I said, I'm very proud to have served alongside of you, and look forward to our stories upcoming. So cool, man.
Yes, sir. I'm
Yes,
glad to be
sir.
here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
So, Constant Elevation audience, I appreciate you. This is a longer form show. It doesn't matter because it was fucking awesome. And so you're welcome. But we'll talk to everybody next week. Peace.